Benvenute, bienvenido, and welcome. If you only caught up with me on the third word there, I'm going to guess that you got your education right here in the good old US of A. And that's actually what I'm here to talk about today is a part of our education I feel that is that there's a gap that we're missing on, and specifically that's foreign language education. And since we're here in Texas, I want to talk a little bit about Texas. Texas currently has a requirement of just 2 years, or not, actually I'm sorry, not even 2 years, 2 semesters of foreign language education on their standard plan. And it's actually possible to graduate with basic requirements and hold a high school diploma from the state of Texas without ever stepping foot inside a foreign language classroom. And this is a problem. It's a problem because learning a foreign language it's more than just a skill. It's not just about learning how to order spaghetti in an Italian restaurant in Italian, or learning to say hello to your friends in another language. It's about learning about culture. It's about creating well-rounded students who appreciate the larger world that we live in. In the past, maybe that would have been enough. Those would have been good things, but they wouldn't have been essential. That's really changed. Technology, specifically high-speed communication, has really shrunk the world that's around us. It's bringing other cultures into our world. When our kids graduate, hopefully they're going to go on to college. Hopefully they're going to get jobs. A lot of those jobs are going to be from major corporations. A lot of these corporations are going to have, maybe they have a business office in Texas and a manufacturing plant in Malaysia and customer service in Central America. And people who are prepared to converse with those cultures, either through language fluency or just knowing a little bit about the culture, are going to be at advantage in getting those type of jobs. And some of those jobs, a lot of those jobs are actually going to require a second language. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking we already have a struggle. It's hard enough to teach kids reading. It's hard enough to teach them writing. It's hard enough to teach them arithmetic. How are we going to ask our teachers to take on more language and shove these areas we're already struggling in behind? But that's really not the case. The fact is, foreign language education helps in all other areas. There was a study in 2007 that was done by the National Education Association, and they found that language learning benefits higher order abstract and creative thinking. It also promotes cultural awareness and competency, and improves chances of college acceptance. The fact is, if you actually look at it, students of foreign language consistently outperform their peers on SAT and other standardized tests across the board on all other subjects. In a speech in an address to Congress, this U.S. Secretary of Education under Bill Clinton said, "We have strong evidence today that studying a foreign language has a ripple effect, helping to improve student performance in all areas." The fact is, language education and language learning, that's the rising tide of education that lifts all our ships. It lifts math scores, it lifts English scores, it improves literacy. In that same speech, he also said, the European Union has a goal for all their students to learn 3 languages. Surely we can help our students remain competitive by just mastering English and one other language. And so what I would submit as a solution to this is that we should change our course requirements in Texas to require 4 years of language education for all high school students. This is a big change, and it's not something that will happen overnight. But I invited y'all here because y'all have a vested interest in education. Everybody in this room is either a parent, an educator, or a student. And as such, you have influence on the people around you. This is ideals you can try to implement locally at your own school board. But you also need to make sure your voice is heard by the people who set these policies. In Texas, the State Board of Education sets curriculum. Specifically, on that board, the Committee of Instruction determines what actual graduation requirements are going to be. Right now, the chair of that committee is Barbara Cargill and Terry Leo. You can contact both of them through the State Board of Education website. or they have their own website, barbaracargill.com or terryleo.com. You can tell them and let your voice be heard that foreign language learning is important to you, and let your students and other educators, school board members, have their voice be heard. The more times that this board hears from students, from educators, from administrators that language is important, the closer we can get to that goal. I mean, just imagine for a moment what this could look like 10 years after adoption. If colleges from around the country looked at a Texas high school diploma and they said, you know what, this person not only can do math and English, but we know they've got a competency in a different language. That's going to be an advantage to colleges, to employers. It's going to take Texas from a follower in education to a leader in education. I mean, alternative here is to stay where we're at right now. According to the State Comptroller Office, Texas currently rates 49th in verbal SAT scores, 46th in math SAT, and in the bottom third of graduation rates. This is the same time we're growing at the 6th fastest pace in all of the country. In my mind, we can't afford to stay the status quo. You know, our children deserve to be educated. Our children deserve to be challenged. Our children deserve to have their minds broadened. Language education does all these things. It challenges, it broadens the mind, and it truly educates. I just ask that, you let your voices be heard. Do what you can where you can, and maybe someday we'll see something where language education is considered, a right of all students, not just a privilege. Thank you for the time. With that, I bid you adieu. Thank you.